Welcome to another episode of Bays Boys Podcast. 97 seconds of information that you can use, not for anything useful, but just to have, because we're in the land of giving. Joe Skelly, tell me about this acquisition of Death Row from the Snoop Dogg.
I was informed yesterday that old Snoop Doggity Dogg just bought Death Row Records.
So, here's useless information for all of you. Snoop Dogg has acquired the historic Death Row Records. Now, for all of you who don't know, it's just an old rapper label. I'm joking. It's a piece of history. It's a piece of history. It's especially for Snoop Dogg. It's a piece of his history. So, that's interesting. I mean, there's not really much else to say about that. He probably paid a ton of money for it. I'm pretty sure I just looked it up. He bought it from Suge Knight's kid. I'm amazed that Suge Knight, not that Suge Knight has a kid, but that Suge Knight was able to keep that whole thing in the family. Just
for sure.
Because of the history of bullshit.
And all the craziness that went along with it.
Right. The death trail that's been following Suge Knight. But
there are a lot of documentaries on that.
Good for Snoop. Yeah. So,
and I guess he's also dropping a new album.
Oh.
On his new label.
Oh. Which is ironically not so new since they had him on there when he was like a kid.
Right.
Let's move on. Today we've got a special sponsor for the show.
Yeah, today's sponsor is a good friend of ours who has a company called No Strings Customs. You can check him out on IG. The guy's a blacksmith. He's a woodworker. He's a leather worker. He does commission work. So if you need something done, contact him on IG. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to do some work for you. Check out all his stuff. He does incredible stuff. He's from tiny home trailers all the way to custom railings. You name it, he kind of does all of it, and it's pretty sweet stuff.
Yeah, those railings are actually pretty impressive.
Yes.
All right. Shout out to the wonderful Vix.
Yes.
Let's move on. Tell me about...
I got something that's been beating about the back of my brain, and I got to talk about it.
All right. Well, tell me about that.
You like watching Survivor shows on TV?
I do.
Like how to survive in the outdoors?
I'm joking. I never watch those.
Well, you should.
I don't have TV.
Okay.
That's usually the problem. When people are like, hey, do you watch this on TV? I'm like, well, I don't actually have TV.
Okay.
But I have heard about them.
All right.
And they're interesting.
Like the two big guys out there are Survivor Man.
Survivor Man, okay.
And then you get Bear Grylls.
I've seen a lot of the trailers of Survivor Man. I've never seen Bear Grylls.
Bear Grylls is a former British Special Forces guy that has a Survivor show. Yeah.
Like the whole SAS gig?
Yeah, he might have been. Yeah, I think that's what he was.
I'm going to look this guy up while you tell me about it.
Yeah, I have an issue with Bear Grylls.
Tell me, Joe Skelly, what is the issue with Bear Grylls?
I don't care how many episodes you watch of Bear Grylls or whatever shows he's done where you choose your own venture endings. That was like the latest. My problem with Bear Grylls is on every single episode of his show, he somehow consumes his own urine.
Oh. Every episode, just...
Every episode, he finds a reason to drink his own urine, or wrap his face in a urine-soaked rag, or piss in a snake skin and carry it around his neck for later consumption. Like, I have an issue with this.
Really?
Yeah, because in a survival situation, one of the very last things on this planet you ever want to do is consume your own urine.
Well... I'm not much of a survivalist. I've, in fact, only ever been to the woods like twice, and it was the line of the woods where I looked at the woods from across a fence.
You've never actually stepped into the woods.
I don't believe so. I'm not sure. I've been to parks, but I don't count those because
those aren't woods, bro.
Exactly. So if you've never been in the woods where there's no fence, I don't count that. Plus, if there's already trails and little boards with maps, again, not counting that as a woods. So
you've never had a need in your entire life to survive on your own in the woods and consume your own urine.
I wasn't even sure if there were woods where we are, to be honest. I've been here a couple decades now, and I went looking maybe twice and still didn't find any.
Didn't find any.
Again,
woods.
I found some parks where my lovely wife drags me to. Against my will, again. But Anyways, moving on. So
No. Listen.
so he's surviving in the woods.
He's surviving,
That's what
yeah.
this is about.
He's surviving in the woods. He survives, like, the guy tries to survive everywhere. The desert, the jungle, the deciduous forest, the Arctic. And somehow he manages to find a reason
Oh,
to
yes.
consume his own urine.
So my thought was, again, I've never been to the woods, but I have seen, prior to when I did have a TV, how movies perpetuate that rumor that you should consume your own urine. In case
What
you stay
movie
alive.
was this?
I don't remember. There was the Kevin Costner Waterman, though, where he did filter his urine through rocks and charcoal and such, and then drink that. That was a pretty common thing.
Okay, that might be different than just
Well,
peeing in a cup. And
it was
and
a
drinking.
world taken over by water, so everything was different. There
Okay,
was
everything's
no land.
Totally different
Right.
at that
So I guess urine instead of salt water, maybe,
point. Okay.
with a filter.
Yes.
But again, is Bear Grylls using a filter?
No.
So this gentleman just consumes it because
He has a fetish.
you believe that he has a fetish. Bear Grylls, is this a thing? We're going to need an investigator to check this out. Someone call Steven.
Listen.
We need the sheriff
Listen.
on this immediately.
The sheriff. Listen. In no Steven Seagal movie have you ever seen him consume his own urine.
No, Steven has that going for him.
Right.
But this gentleman all the time.
That might explain some of his weight gain.
Oh, well, he also never goes into the woods. Just
Not that he's like you. He stood on the edge of the woods in a couple of his movies, but never actually
he
went.
did make it to Japan, but he did not make it to the woods.
Didn't make it to the woods.
Right. All those woods you see in the movies are just that.
Right.
Movies. Those are movie sets.
Now, if you want
Okay.
to watch a real show on how to survive, like watch Survivor Man, right? Like this dude's legit. He goes out by himself. He survives for a week by himself with nothing but what he carries into the woods, plus all his camera gear. And to add to his legitimacy, he did 6 episodes. He dedicated 6 episodes to finding Bigfoot.
Oh. But he did not drink his own urine.
Not once.
Not once.
Not once. As a matter of fact, he actually makes comments in his show about how you should never consume your own urine.
So I've got a video up. I'm just going to leave this on this screen for now. Excuse me, while we talk about not drinking your own urine until I see this gentleman drink his own urine.
Okay, that's fine.
So back to what we were saying.
Yes.
Survivor Man.
Survivor Man.
So this one seems to be, the Bear Grylls one seems to be how to survive the desert. Oh.
I think that's where he pees on a rag and wraps it around his face.
Well, they keep showing this, they're showing this faucet like it has water, but I'm assuming that this will not be, oh, he's running in his Vibram 5-finger shoes in the desert. Another thing I don't think that I'd want in the desert. I've never been in the desert. Again, I drove through the desert, but there was a road, so I don't count that as being in it. I didn't get out of the car and go into it. So
And another thing you should take off your survival gear list is finger toe shoes.
yeah, finger toe shoes. I went through a year wearing those. They were actually really good up until the point where they weren't, and I just got plantar fasciitis until I almost died.
Again, that should not be on your
So-
survival gear list, right?
I can't.
You want something that's going to firmly support your foot.
Well,
all right.
When you're drinking your own urine, do you really need the support?
If you're drinking your own urine,
Oh, here he goes.
the lack of support's not going to matter because you're probably going to end up as part of the woods.
Here he goes. He's
Before.
urinating into a jar. Here's the best part. And what I think about when they're doing this is there's literally a fucking camera crew standing there, right? And one of them's drinking a Monster. The other one's drinking like some fucking Fiji water. And this dude's like, oh, there he goes. He's just tanking it back. He's making a funny face, but then he licks his lips like it's morning coffee. So he's going for a second one because he just got to the desert. So he's definitely dehydrated in the last 10 minutes. The fucking crew's over there. Dude's spitting his Monster on himself because this dude's sucking his own urine down. Right? He's got the, I mean, like if you were to pan the angle of this, there'd be a fucking trailer, maybe even a taco truck
Right.
in the background. And this guy's like, listen, guys, right now, for the
Craft
last
services,
2 hours,
Craft services.
fuck. For the last 2 hours, I've been in the desert. We've walked away from the highway. I'm at least 3 miles in. I'm going to need to drink my urine.
It's ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous.
And it was warm
Yeah. Ugh.
because it came from the jar. Like, right, he just went right into the jar and
He
right
emptied
back.
the tank and refilled it.
Right. So that's a fucking problem. I might go search into this later just because I'm curious if we can prove Joe Skelly's theory of him drinking it in every episode. I mean, like, he's on a raft, right? He's doing like the Wilson, the Tom Hanks, and he's like, fuck, I need some more of my urine right now.
Right. Stat.
Extra salty.
Stat.
Fuck. And again, I think of the camera crew. The camera crew standing there. One of them's got a fucking McFlurry in his hand. The other guy's got Monster. And then the other dude with the Fiji water. And the dude with the Fiji water, see, he's drinking one and he's also got one on his belt.
Right.
Right here.
Right.
And this guy's like, I'm going to fucking die. You see me sweating? I'm losing liquid as I speak. But if I cycle it back in, oh, that's okay. So Survivor Man, the other guy, never drinks his own urine.
Never, not once. Not in a single episode.
Does he talk about how he should?
No, as a matter of fact,
urine?
he quite often makes comments in his show about how you should never consume your own urine.
So I remember what I was taught about this as a young kid. I don't remember which class. It was some stupid health class. But I remember the teacher saying, you can drink your own urine if you need to, but only once. Right. And I remember just being like, first of all, that doesn't make any fucking sense. But he did have a logical explanation for this, okay? He said, and I kind of do remember who this was. I can see the guy's face, but I remember him saying something about by the time you drink it and it goes back through your body again, instead of being a small percentage of waste, it comes out purely as waste. That was his thing. He's like, it's basically more concentrated urine after the second cycle.
Okay.
Which I was like, man, there's not a fucking situation.
All right, so listen, historically, the only time I've ever heard of people consuming their own urine was the Vikings.
What the fuck? Why? There's a ton of dudes right now running around. Hold on. There's a ton of dudes running around with half haircuts listening to this, wearing like those big Odin crosses that are very upset right now that you just said that. This is a fact. Oh my.
So, in particular, it wasn't all Vikings.
They believe?
It was a group of Vikings.
Oh.
They were called,
of course.
People know them as the Berserkers.
Oh my God. You're making it worse.
Aren't
the Berserkers supposed to be the tough ones?
The Berserkers were the tough ones.
Oh my.
But Berserkers is a bastardization of the name, and the name, what they were called were Bearsark, or Bearskins.
Okay.
Because what would happen is they would put themselves into a trance before combat, and they would truly believe that they became the animal spirit, and they would attack with the rage of an animal.
We still, even feeling the animal spirit gig, and today, shout out to all our guys who got big, long Bjorn man buns with fucking Odin symbols all over their hands. I love all of you. I know some of my friends have that. We're not going to point any fingers because we don't do that in Bays Boys podcast. But I lost my train of thought just thinking about stupid haircuts and tattoos and drinking your own urine.
So,
let's go back to it.
All right, so here's the story.
The tough guys.
So in order to get themselves into this trance or into this rage,
wonderful,
what they would do is they would come up with a concoction.
Good.
It was local roots and berries
and a little
mushrooms.
Piss.
And what they would make is this huge concoction mixed with mead of hallucinogenics.
Wonderful. It sounds right.
And what they would do is the first guy in the group would consume the entire bowl of this hallucinogenic concoction.
Fucking wonderful.
And then he would piss it
Splendid.
into a container.
Oh, we went the whole other way with this.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And then the second guy would consume that giant container.
This isn't right.
Full of urine. and hallucinogenics.
I know what's about to happen.
And what would happen was...
They're about to human centipede the urine.
Yes.
Oh my fucking God.
Their bodies
No.
would intensify the hallucinogenic effects.
Nope.
And then he would piss it into a bowl.
Not a thing.
And then it would go down the line, and then all of them would be drinking each other's piss.
Motherfuck.
And the last guy to consume it would have the most
He
concentrated
turns into
amount
Odin and flies away.
of hallucinogenics. And then these guys would just go into battle straight out of their minds, banana crackers on hallucinogenics, thinking that they were wild bears and wolves and whatnot, and they would attack.
Oh, just as a disclaimer, we here do not support, first of all, you drinking any of your friend's urine. Second of all, eating any kind of hallucinogenic and mixing it with urine. Third of all, just the entire fucking setup here. Just no urine, no hallucinogenics. You can be the bear animal spirit of anything you want. You could be Harry Potter's little doe animal spirit for all I fucking care. But please do not try to get your friend to drink your urine after you've taken mushrooms.
Okay.
That's not a thing, people. This is not science. We're not a science podcast, but
Like, I'm just saying, here's my question. Why were they all like bears and wolves? How come nobody was like an owl? Or nobody was like...
Vix is even more mad that he sponsored this episode than Amante's mad about the fucking blue-blooded crabs. I mean, Amante at least is slightly in with the martial arts Wesley Snipes stuff. Vix is pissed.
I'm sure.
I'm sure. You're going to have to make up for that later.
I'm going to have to make up for that later.
Do not make him drink any of your urine.
I'm not.
Don't
Drinking,
even offer it.
Nobody's drinking any urine.
This is not a thing.
The point of this is, I don't care what group of people you belong to, what your religious beliefs are, whether you're surviving in the woods, don't drink urine.
Yeah, I forgot that we were still on that part because we went to this side of urine. So, fuck. Nobody is drinking urine.
No, that's not good.
Did I ever tell you I made a urine bomb once?
We probably shouldn't talk about that.
No, I'm talking about it.
Water balloon full of urine?
Better.
Okay.
I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of friends, and, well, they weren't friends. They were people that I knew that sometimes needed clean urine. So, being the only friend who had said clean urine, a friend asked me one time to grab it for him. I said, sure, friend, why not? If you buy me a Snapple, I will consume the Snapple, not the urine, and I will return the Snapple bottle with said urine that's clean, and you can use that for whatever probationary officer that you...
traded urine for Snapple.
Snapple, yes.
Okay.
When you're hungry and thirsty, you'll do anything. Now, I wasn't in the woods like these other men,
Right.
but I had to do what I had to do. So I go and fill the bottle. I walk into the big giant cafeteria, and there's a group of these 16 young gentlemen who just happen to need some
All 16 of them.
It was a pretty good rotation usually.
Okay.
I don't know what happened that day, but I think the principal was in the same room.
Okay.
As I'm walking with this urine bottle, the warmth of the urine kind of got to me, and I could feel it in my hands. I didn't want to go sit with them. I definitely didn't want to be around a urine bottle anymore, so I yelled to one of my friends across the room. He looked up at me. A few of them looked up at me, and I said, hey, here's your Snapple. I threw the Snapple as high as I could, thinking, now I'm not into sports, so I really don't understand how this stuff works, but I thought in my mind that if I threw it up in the air, it would give him enough time to catch it.
Okay. So you just didn't overhand baseball whip it at
No,
his
no,
face.
no. I'm not a dick.
Right,
usually.
you just lobbed it.
Yeah,
Lobbed
little
it.
big
Like a
arch.
mortar.
Yeah.
Like a Snapple
Like
mortar.
a cool basketball piss Snapple mortar. A lot of people saw it as it was coming down. A lot of people screamed that it was coming down. Not one of them
Moved.
tried to catch it. Oh no, they moved. I've never seen a table of 15 people spread out like little ants because, again, like that other story that you told, they were afraid. The Snapple bottle hit.
Did they think it was something other than Snapple, or
No.
they assumed it was Snapple because
No.
you announced to the entire room
That here's your Snapple, which everybody
your
knew where I
Snapple.
had gone to require their Snapple because you had to leave the room to go to the bathroom.
Right.
So as it's flying through the air, like spinning, they clear the table and it lands perfectly on the cap, detonating said warm Snapple all over the table.
What was the kill radius? Was it like 5 yards? Was it like a 5-yard kill radius?
Easily.
Of Snapple?
It hit 3 or 4 guys,
Oh,
and there
God.
was urine everywhere. And it was horrible. The gentlemen, all of them, had to sit there for the rest of the day with urine on their clothes. So I essentially hit them with a urine grenade.
Urine grenade.
The worst part, and I felt bad later, was that they had moved tables, and we might have watched the janitor wipe up said spilled Snapple.
I bet that janitor was pissed.
I don't think she had any idea what it was. I would not tell her. I
Smart man.
let it die.
Did they ever ask you for Snapple again?
Yeah, but I was told I was not allowed to throw it.
Fair
That I
enough.
had to walk it over to them.
And hand it to them?
I thought they'd catch it.
I mean, it's rather demanding. Like, they're going to tell you.
They needed it.
Right.
I didn't. I thought that it'd be like the thing where like, oh my God, I need it or else I'm going to get in trouble. So I imagined in my head somebody jumping to catch it.
Right.
It was the opposite. They jumped to run. Needless to say, though, there was no drinking of the Snapple said urine.
Right. Right.
So, yeah.
Hard lessons learned
By everybody.
by everybody.
I mean,
Including you.
I was good.
You were good.
I don't like warm urine, though, in my hand, even if it's in a bottle, though. So that was my lesson.
I can respect that.
Again, I don't go in the woods, and I will not drink any of my own urine.
Smart man.
I will fucking die first.
Smart man.
That shit's just not happening. Survivalist my ass. And that guy's sitting there with the camera crew, and that fucking Fiji water guy's just looking at him, drinking his fucking Fiji water. And you know he's thinking the same fucking thing. He's like, God, look at this piece of shit. Dude's famous for drinking his fucking piss. What is this, fucking jackass? Like,
Why am I not making millions of dollars?
right. That's what he's saying.
Right.
He's like,
I'm the
fuck.
pure I'm the schmuck that's going to stand back here as a safety
And
crew.
watch this dude whip his dick out and
drink
fucking
his own
piss in a
piss.
bottle. But you know, and that ladies and gentlemen, we don't recommend that anybody drink their own urine, but I'm simply asking, maybe that's what it takes, or simply saying maybe that's what it takes. You have to do something outlandish. Again, we will not be doing that.
No.
But
I have certain lines I don't cross.
yeah.
That's one of them.
Yeah. I don't even cross the fence into the woods. So I'm just saying, if I can't see the bathroom from where I'm standing, I'm probably in the wrong place. It's fucking
I can respect
compass my ass, you know? The fucking street sign's right there. That's all I'm saying.
No GPS, no compass, no
there,
protractor.
there are really no woods where I'm from. So I'm going to be honest, you know, never seen woods. I had friends who would go to the woods and they would come back after the week or weekend and tell me about it. And I'd say, well, where were those woods? And they would tell me, an hour or two, but I wasn't going that far for it. So not
Fair
a
enough.
thing, not a thing. 97 seconds. Bays Boys Podcast. Please, ladies and gentlemen, do not drink the urine.